My name is Angie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. This is a channel where I typically like to make videos about books as well as videos about homeschooling, mostly book related, so thank you for stopping by. Today's video is a wrap up. It's about basically the books I read in April, and I have to say it is one of my best reading months. 2 4 stars and 4 5 stars. Fantastic reading month. And maybe partly it is due to the fact that I was finishing some series that I was already really invested in. Anyway, let's hop in. I'm gonna start with my favorite book, because why not start with my favorite? And so my favorite was The Winter of the Witch. So this is by Catherine Arden. This is the third in the Winter Night trilogy, the first being The Bear and the Nightingale, and the second being The Girl in the Tower. And I will link some videos above where I have discussed these books. Granted, I can't tell you too much about the third one because I don't want to give away the first and the second because they're just so good. But in a nutshell, what this series is about, it's about this girl named Vasya. She lives in Russia. She lives in Russia kind of during the 1300s, where there's a rise in Orthodox Christianity, but there's also still a holding on to kind of some old ways or some folklore, which in these books they're called cherte, I believe is how you pronounce it. It's basically these little house or woodland spirits. People who believe in them will like feed them, leave them bread or water or different things, and they'll protect the house. Rise of the Christianity, these spirits are kind of dwindling, and then enters this girl named Vasya, who comes from kind of this heritage of women who are powerful, who have powers or things like that. And so she kind of comes into her powers over all 3 of these books, and it really culminates in this book. And I enjoyed her character so much. She is very relatable. She has a ton of flaws, but she has just a ton of like things where you're just rooting for her. You're rooting for her to kind of overcome all the obstacles that seem to be put in her way. And so she's just a fun character. And then on top of that, I just really enjoy the interaction between her character, Vasya, and the Winter King, or the Frost Demon is another name for him. I thought that was really fun, and it kind of, again, that relationship goes through all 3 books. I finished this book, and then I was literally like, maybe I'll start this series again. I just don't want to leave this world, and since I have all 3 of these books, I might just pick it up again because it was just so entertaining. It just sucks you right in. So highly recommend this. The next books I read this month, I'm going to talk about together because they were number 2 and number 3 in this series. And so number 2 was The Vanishing Star. Number 3 was A Hand on the Wall, and they're all in the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. And I read Truly Devious, which is the first one, last month. And so I'll link that if you are interested in seeing my thoughts on that in my wrap up. Again, I can't talk too much about these books. I would say that these books are entertaining. They're very entertaining, easy to read, YA mysteries, and I like mysteries, and so I kind of flew through these. It was enjoyable to have some faster reads. And so this is basically, it's about a school in the middle of nowhere, Vermont, for really gifted students. And back in the 30s, the founder of the school ended up having his wife and daughter be kidnapped, and then it started this big mystery that was not solved. And so then you fast forward to present day, the mystery still was not solved, and then one of the new students that was coming to the school, her name was Stevie, was very interested in the mystery. And so a lot happened in that first book. It's kind of central around that initial mystery, and then new things start happening kind of in present day, and then the questions are, was that related to kind of the old mystery, or is that new stuff, or is this the old person, is this the original culprit? And so kind of that stuff is discussed, and I liked her character a lot. She was endearing. She was just kind of a fun, quirky character where she got to collect some clues and evidence and see all that, and I enjoyed that part. So these are the 2 of the month that I gave 4 stars, and I think I gave Truly Devious also a 4-star. And really what it comes down to is that they weren't a super complex, twisty mystery, which is okay. I don't need my mysteries to be too twisty, as long as they're not predictable, which I don't think this was. I would not call this a predictable mystery series. I think it was entertaining. It was gripping. Like, I kept reading because I wanted to know what happened or what was going on. So that was really good. I really enjoyed that. The part that didn't totally jive with me was her love interest. He was just this rich, spoiled kid, which, you know, I can wrap my head around that. It's a character, and he played out that character almost too much. He was almost too much of a jerk. And then really, but it was told from her narrative where she was like attracted to this person. And I was like, no, he's not attractive. He's a jerk. He's treating you terrible. That was probably what dropped this to more of a 4 for me versus a 5-star, because it really was fun, fast-paced, really entertaining. Enjoyed the mystery type of series. I just disliked the love interest very much so. So anyway, that is the series. I recommend it. Very fun. Okay. The other half of my books are from the TBR Clear Out. It was a fantastic readathon that ran the whole month of April, and it was really geared towards clearing off your shelves. And the way I took it was I wanted to finish books that I had started previously and get to this next book, because I've been wanting to get to it almost every month the past like 6 months. So I finally picked it up and I loved it. I know a lot of people love this book for good reasons. So I gave it a 5-star rating. It's called All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony DeWeer. It's a World War II book. It's a historical fiction novel. It is set from the perspective of 2 children. So one of them is a girl who lives in Paris. She's blind and she lives with her dad. And she has learned to live with her blindness that kind of started earlier in life, like 6 years old, and her dad is just dotes on her. And then the bombings came, and so they had to get out of the city, and he took her to his uncle's place on the coast of France. I enjoyed his character a lot, especially as the book progressed. The great uncle, I guess her great uncle, and they're kind of a part of resistance in some ways. So that was enjoyable. There was definitely some suspenseful moments around her character and her family that I really enjoyed. The second character, main character, it was a boy, a German boy, and he's in an orphanage because he lives in a German town that's a mining town, and a lot of the men have died in the mines. And then the young boys, no matter what, always go into the mines at like 15 years old. So that was like his future. So he's growing up in this orphanage. He gains this reputation for being really good with fixing things, especially radios. Someone in the Nazi party needed a radio fixed and he fixed it, and then that just put him on kind of the radar of some of those higher up people, and he got accepted into this school for kind of like Hitler Youth sort of idea. And so it got him out of the town and got him into this school. And I would say his character was probably my favorite. Mainly because you got to see him struggle. You got to see him struggle with like right and wrong. And really, like you're talking like he's kind of on the wrong side of history, right? Where it's like he was indoctrinated in these ideas and belief systems that were just bad. And then you get to see him struggle with it. You get to see him push back a little, but yet be too scared to push back totally. And some of the ramifications of that, and some of the things that he had to live with, his choices, his decisions, his actions. It was just so good. I highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't read it. If you have read it, which I know a lot of you probably have, let me know your thoughts below, because I want to chat about this one too. So that's the 4th book I read this month. Okay, the last 2 books I read for the TBR Clear Out were books that I had started and I wanted to finish, but they're both books that you kind of read slowly. One is a parenting book and one is a spiritual book. So the first book is called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. It's impossible to be spiritually mature while remaining emotionally immature by Peter Scazzaro. So this book is it was really good. It's just about how to properly handle your emotions, how to view them in a good light, how to be like, you're given your emotions. Your emotions aren't inherently bad. It's just kind of how you respond and what you do from there. And it goes through different things, like kind of going through your past and understanding if you have some hang-ups, some things that came from how you grew up, and is that affecting your relationships now, and your relationships with each other, with like spouses or children, as well as your relationship with God. And so that's just excellent. I highly recommend this one. And then the last book I finished this month was The 5 Love Languages of Children by Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell. So this is just a great book. It's a great parenting book. It's a book about discovering the love language of your child, and so that you can love them in a way that really is effective. So it encourages you to thoughtfully study them, to develop knowledge about their personality. And so that knowledge from studying them is just so much more powerful than what your instinct tells you or how you were raised, because that can vary based on your child. And so it's really neat. I highly recommend it. So one example, so I read this And then I tested some of this out on my daughter. She's 4. I took her to a local coffee shop that we love to go to. It's a mommy-daughter date sort of thing. We just get to enjoy each other. We get a muffin, we play some games. So I asked her a would you rather question. I was like, would you rather come to this coffee shop with mommy and order a muffin, or would you rather make muffins at home? And I was expecting her to say, go to the coffee shop. And she was like, I'd rather make muffins at home. And I was like, oh, maybe you need, I'll rephrase. I was like, would you rather this or this? And she's like, oh, I'd rather make muffins at home, Mom. And I was like, are you sure? Because I really wanted to go to the coffee shop and I didn't want to make muffins at home. But for her, it was more of the act of us doing it together. So it was the quality time that made her feel loved, that I spent the time with her making muffins versus just buying a muffin. As for me, that was like getting out of the house, and that was really nice. But it was just really funny because I was for sure I knew her answer and I was wrong. So that's the last book I finished this month that I highly recommend. And I guess I didn't mention this. These were both 5 stars for me. They're both very impactful, and they both kept me thinking, and they both caused me to change some things in my life, and that is worth 5 stars. So yeah, that wraps up an awesome reading month for me. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. Please comment below if you've read any of these books, if you thought they were as good as I did, or if you didn't. I would like to talk about that as well. Like always, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. If you like these kinds of videos, I really appreciate having you. And so yeah, I will see you again in the next video. All right, take care.